Today I'll talk about decision making, especially the expected monetary value. This is my first lecture on decision making. Decision making is a process of choosing between two or more alternatives which are available to us. Decision making is a common phenomena in both our personal and professional life. Some decisions may have significant long-term consequences. So what are the basic features of a decision problem? There are three features. One is that every decision maker is faced with a set of several alternative course of action and he has to select one of them. So, for example, there are various course of action from A1, A2 to AM. Second is states of nature. The consequences of selection of a course of action are dependent on certain factors, and these factors are beyond the control of decision maker. These factors are known as states of nature or events. It is assumed that the decision maker is aware of the whole list of events, states of nature from S1, S2 to Sn, and exactly one of them is bound to occur. Statistically, this set of events or states of nature is mutually exclusive and collective exhaustive. Consequences: the result or outcome of selection of a particular course of action are termed as its consequences. The consequence measured in quantitative or value term is known as payoff of a course of action. So we can make a table out of these. For example, these are alternate course of actions A1, A2 to AM. It is represented as AI. And these are various states of nature from S1, S2 to Sn represented by Sj. For example, if we select the action AI and state Sj happens, so we will face the consequence Xij. So these are all consequences, combination of course of action and states of nature. Sometimes various states of nature have probabilities which are known to us, and these probabilities are written as P1, P2 to Pn and written as Pj. So the main topic of our today lecture is expected monetary value. So expected monetary value of a course of action AI is the summation of multiplication of probability of state of nature and consequence. So P1 into xi1 plus P2 into xi2 and similarly. So this is the formula for expected monetary value. Today we will use the expected monetary value to arrive at a decision. We will take an example to understand better. A firm needs to decide whether to increase the production capacity in anticipation of high demand. And these are the facts which are available. If firm increases its production and the demand is high, there will be a profit of 1800. If firm increases its production and the demand does not rise, there will be a net profit of 500 after deducting production cost, after reducing the excess cost. If firm does not increase its production and the demand is high, there will be slight increase in profit to 1100. If firm does not increase its production and demand does not rise, there will be a normal profit of 1000. So these are the basically consequences of the various combination of the course of action and states of nature. So in a tabulated form, it can be written as if we increase the production or do not increase the production. So these are the alternate course of actions. We need to select one of these. And demand is the state of nature. It may be high or it may remain same and we are not aware of it. And these are the consequences which we are aware. So additional information is that probability of high demand is usually 40% and probability of normal demand is 60%. So this is the additional information which we know. So we write the probability of these various states of nature. So now we need to calculate the expected monetary value of course of action, increased demand, and course of action, no increase in demand. So we multiply zero point 0.4 by 1800 plus zero point 0.6 by 500 and we get 1020 expected monetary value of first action. The expected monetary value of second action is 1040. So this is higher, hence we should decide not to increase the production. So this is the utility of expected monetary value to arrive at a particular decision. Now, if let us say there is more information available, before taking a decision, the firm also conducted a market survey. And if the survey predicted that the demand of the product is going to be high in future, so the survey predicted that demand will be high. And from the past experience, we know that when the demand has been high, such a survey has predicted it correctly only 60% of times. And when the demand has been low, the survey predicted it correctly only 80% of times. So we do some calculations of probabilities to calculate that probability of high given that survey predict the high probability and probability of normal given that survey predict that probability high. Because our survey has predicted that probability is high, so we need to calculate the conditional probabilities of high and normal demand. So this is the calculation. So we write the calculated probability after survey here and we calculate the expected monetary value. Now look at the result. The expected monetary value of first action is more because our survey predicted high demand as compared to the expected monetary value of second action. So we need to take first action, that is we should increase the production if survey predict high demand. So this is how we take decision on the basis of expected monetary value. Now to summarize, decision making situations can be of three types. We need to make decision under certainty. We need to make decision under risk. We need to make decision under uncertainty. Decision making under certainty. In this situation, a person who needs to make a decision knows for sure the alternatives available and the consequences of each alternative. So the decision maker know with certainty what are the various alternatives, what are the conditions associated with each alternative, and the outcomes of each alternative. So here everything is known to the decision maker. So example, in case of routine and repetitive decisions concerning the day-to-day business operations, we make decision under certainty. So this is our day-to-day decision making when the all information is available. Decision making under risk. In this situation, each alternative strategy or course of action has several possible consequences. But the person who needs to make the decision knows the probability of each one of them. I have taken the example today when we know the probability. So it was an example of decision making under risk. Probability of each state of nature is known here. And finally, the third type is decision making under uncertainty. In this situation, each course of action has several possible consequences, and the person who need to make a decision does not know the probability of each of them. In other words, a decision maker is not aware of probabilities of each state of nature. So, when the probabilities are not known, then the situation is decision making under uncertainty. So to summarize, we need to make decision under certainty. These are routine decisions, day-to-day life. We need to make decision under risk when probabilities are known. These are the probabilities of various states of nature. When these are known, we can use of these two tools. One is expected monetary value. It was the topic of today's lecture. I'll take another lecture on decision tree. That this is another tool when we need to decide under risk. The third situation is decision making under uncertainty. It may be either a non competitive situation or a competitive situation. I'll talk about non-competitive situation in my next lecture. And competitive situation in the tool used is game theory. Games may be either zero sum and non-zero sum game. I'll take up these in my next lecture. So this was all for today. Thank you.